E-B... Spell it again.
E-B-O-N-I-I.
The double I's.
Okay.
Clock it.
Wait, that was so hot. Do it again.
What's poppin'? My name's Shy Friend.
My name is Rowan.
Hi, I'm Ian from Apollo Western Cup.
My name is Dana Demento.
My name is Katie.
We are from the House of Ebonii, and you are watching
Queer in Alberta.
Welcome back to Queer in Alberta, the podcast where I chat with 2S LGBTQIA+ Albertans from all across the province to share their stories. If you are new here, welcome to Season 4. My name is Kels Valenzuela Delamarter. I'm your host. I use she, her pronouns, and this podcast is filmed and recorded right here on Treaty 7 territory, home of the Blackfoot Confederacy and the Otipemisiwak Métis government in the Alberta District Number 1. We are picking it up right back where we left off with the House of Ebonii, Alberta's first and only all-black drag, performance, and burlesque house based in Edmonton, Alberta. In part 1, we learned so much about ballroom culture and about how so much of what we view broadly today as queer culture actually comes from very specific and very honored contributions from QT BIPOC folks and individuals. While Lu gave such a gorgeous overview of ballroom for us, and we are so grateful that they did that on the show, I just want to reiterate that it was not comprehensive by any means. It's truly just the tip of the iceberg, which is super exciting to think about. So if that interests you, definitely go and look into those histories, go into your communities, and find out a little bit more about the contributions to queer culture as we understand it today. In addition to talking about the house in this episode and all of their fantastic achievements in such a short period of time, we go over some of Keeks and Lu's most memorable moments, some of the highlights from their time together as a group, and we also can't help but talk about some of the similarities in our experiences as racialized queer folks here on the prairies. Keeks and Lucian also open up about their own experiences as Black, queer, and trans individuals living here in Alberta, about some of the expectations that people have of something like Alberta's first all-black drag and performance house. They really get into it, and we have such a vulnerable and open discussion about these experiences. The rest of the episode is actually dedicated to audience Q&As because you guys really showed up for the House of Ebonii. Out of all of the guests that we had on Season 4, the House of Ebonii received the most questions by far. This is part 2 with Call Me Keeks and Lucian LaPearl joining us from the House of Ebonii and Edmonton, Alberta to share a little bit more of the backstory of how the house came to be and to answer all of the questions that you had for them. This is part 2 of the House of Ebonii on Queer in Alberta. So let's talk a little bit about how the house started. You said that Gabby brought everybody together, right? So this is in 2024?
Yes.
Let's get into it.
So, 2024, it was February. It is something that we've all been noticing in the drag and burlesque scene the whole time. A lot of white producers, especially during Black History Month, which we thought and knew was weird, we're trying to kind of cherry pick which Black performers they have in their shows. Because like you mentioned, you get one Asian person, you're good
done.
for all of Asian.
All
you
of
have
Asia.
checked off those boxes. So there's a couple of competitions here in Edmonton that I just will say will not be named on this podcast, but there's a couple of competitions that are big in like dragland that took place. And after one night, February, I will never forget, I was sitting on my phone because I am chronically online, and I got a message from her asking me to join the house. I said yes with the quickness.
From Gabby, right?
Yeah. Gabby Minora is our president, our founder. She had sent the message to me, Saint Solstice, and a couple of other people she thought would be interested. And I think it honestly circles back to what you said about Gabby teaching us how to be bolder. Couldn't have been me. I could never have found myself after feeling some type of way or whatever happened after the event to message people who I didn't really know really well. Like I'd been at her, we talked a little bit online, but I wouldn't really say like we were close friends. Yeah, but she very much sent the message to me. She sent it to Saint Solstice and a couple of others. And then I kind of helped bring in Mix Jackson and Lucian LaPearl. And we hung out a lot before we debuted. Not to practice, not to do anything.
We would get to know each other.
Yeah, we would just meet. Because this, and I think this is a problem a lot of people have, you cannot get into a collective with people that you just morally and
groundbreaking. I never would have thought that coming. Who could have foreseen?
And some people like don't think about that at first, but yeah, we all just kind of like hung out a lot, and then we just made the decision. I had said it in one of our first hangouts. I said, let's do our best because we will. I've done this dance. We will have a lot of people trying to turn us into some corporate capitalistic nonprofit machine, and I said, let's keep it fun. Let's continue to have fun and like hang out, and like of course performing is the main goal, obviously, but it's not the only goal, nor is it the most important goal. It's kind of developed that we're all making sure that we're okay and like feeling confident in ourselves, in our personal lives, but also in our performance lives. And then we had our debut. I think it was like early March of 2024. We were not ready. We were not ready.
Did it? I didn't see this coming.
We were not prepared. Half of us.
I love this, like looking into the horizon as we go down memory lane. It's
gotta
like you
know.
can see it right there.
It was like a ballad song too. It was like such
What
a slow song.
song?
It was "Be Alive" by Beyonce, and we were in the
Not
chat,
ready.
and it is slow, and we knew the
2
vibe.
beats per minute, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we did not practice. 3 of us showed up and we didn't realize we would be doing drag. The other ones did realize we would be debuting. And you know what? We got up on that stage and we ate it. And it was so funny how chaotic it was. Saint Solstice, not a single lyric was uttered. Not a, she posed for 4 minutes straight.
Face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very beautiful moment. But that
She
honestly,
posed for
after
4
that,
minutes. I'm sorry. That's
I'm not
so
kidding.
funny.
The video does exist somewhere.
Yeah,
and it's just
We should put it over right now as you're telling this story.
she's posing. You want to know what's so crazy?
Yeah.
Is in February the following year, I threw the Beyonce the Stallion
Yeah.
show, and I said, "Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back
To our history.
to our history, to our OGs."
roots.
So we all came. We opened the show with "Be Alive" again, and I 100% paid
Post.
Saint Solstice money to not learn those lyrics. She did the exact same
Yes.
thing she did the year before.
The
And-
booty is the brand. Yeah.
But literally,
The booty is the
and at
brand.
this point, I'm prepared to do it again next year. I don't know.
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition.
It's a
at this
legacy.
point. But it was a very, I think I love our debut for several reasons, but how chaotic, how unplanned, but it was still such a good time, and how much fun we had really brought home the fact that we are here to have fun. Like, if I get into the point that I am ripping my hair out and I am that nervous to get onto a stage and lip sync somebody else's music,
Yeah.
we got to take it back. And that was kind of the first time that I was like, oh, we're a house. Like, yeah, we are a family, and we're gonna, so ever since then, we've just kind of been doing little tiny things here and there. We get
Just
booked-
small.
just small tiny things. We get booked individually quite a bit, I would say.
Yeah.
Saint Solstice is probably the hardest worker in the house. That girl is booked for everything all the time, as she should be. Like I mentioned, she's got the energy. Book her Saint Solstice song.
And she knows her lyrics.
And
Don't
she knows-
worry.
she does.
Just
She
not
knows
for
the one
this
number.
number.
Only the one
Yeah.
number.
It's the bid. It's the whole thing now. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just really, really beautiful how we all kind of started and how we've kind of stuck together. And I said it when I went to Victoria to perform not too long ago. I was giving a speech about the house. And I think on the outskirts, when people see us not taking some of our performances really seriously, or they see us online having a good time, people don't realize, like, one of the most beautiful things that we have as a house is that we both take things seriously, but we don't take them seriously, if that makes sense. Like, we really prioritize the things that matter. And as much as it looks like good times online and parasocial relationships are the motto for 2025,
Yeah.
it is also a lot of like holding each other accountable and talking through our issues. And when things are not fun, we talk about things not being fun. I will say it usually hits like big performances, but just like our ability to talk through things and still be a family. I'm just like, wow, we should really start a TV show, you know?
You should.
like,
And you know, call me, beat me if you want to reach me. We can see if we can get that figured out.
it.
You know, with disclaimer, I'm not a magic maker, but I will try so hard. Was there anything about the House of Ebony that we didn't touch on yet that you guys really wanted to talk about? Because I think we've been pretty comprehensive.
Where we want to go, things. I guess just not what we're excited for. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
the future.
we could talk about the future, and I think I'd like to touch on the Blackening.
Yes. So what is the Blackening?
So I had this idea for so many years. I've had this idea for so many years. When the Blackening came out, it's like this absolutely hilarious Black comedy,
Mhm.
horror comedy. It was so funny. It was just so funny. And I had the idea when I first watched the movie, a cabaret would be so funny to be like modeled after this. And
Yeah,
then some things happened last year that were not good for me, but it put me in the perfect position to be like, let me turn this dream into a reality. Like, let me turn this dream into a reality. And I literally messaged Mix Buckaroo, who is the parent of the House of Buckaroo out in Vancouver. That is Vancouver's only Black performing house. And I said, this is a wild shot and I'm funding it all myself and I don't have a lot of money, but is there any chance you and your house would love to come to our transphobic province here in
Alberta?
Yeah,
To Marlena's Berta.
do a little bit of dancing, and they all said yes. And it was an immaculate moment. Like, I was able to gift Lucian a ticket because she wasn't performing at the time, but I really wanted her to be there. And I kind of took a step back because I try when I'm producing not to produce and perform too much, because then something is losing its energy.
Yes.
And being able to bring in also the fact I'm not trans. So there's a big portion of that where the whole House of Buckaroo who is coming is trans, and a majority of our house is trans. I wanted to just simply, here is the money, here is the space, I will host, I will do these things. You guys please show the magic off.
Do your thing.
And it was the most beautiful 2 days I have had in such a long time, just to see. I find Vancouver has a very like theatrical, dramatic type of drag that we don't have here in Edmonton. They came, they would do a Hercules. It was just group number galore. It was absolutely immaculate.
Yeah, they were the
Food for the
Hercules
soul.
muses.
Like, it was, and they were practicing in my
Guys.
basement, and like I just like look up to all of them so much, and like I just had a moment that I was like, my family is all at home getting ready for the show and they are in my basement practicing. Like, this is actually surreal that this is kind of happening. And those 2 days, just watching so many Black, beautiful, queer performers from all over Canada make magic in this tiny town. We do get skipped. We do get skipped for a lot of the cool stuff that happens. Was just groundbreaking. Like, it was a very proud moment for me as like the auntie of the House of Ebonii. But along with that, I think that show really helped us set us up on our future. Like, we got to travel to Vancouver as a house for Mix Buckaroo's birthday. So you really just got to see and like witness, like, I don't know, that community allyship, and just like, I am in Alberta. I am Black. I'm queer. I see you.
Yeah.
I see you over there in Vancouver doing what you guys are doing, being also Black, queer, and trans. Like, we see each other in a way that's so beautiful. And I hope more people get to experience this, honestly. That's kind of the biggest portion. And then for the future of the house, I don't know. I don't think that any of us really know.
Lethbridge. That's
Yeah.
the future.
Small tour. We're making Alberta more Black.
I will say, I have been performing for a really long time. Don't ever count out the small real towns. I've actually had some of the best times and also made some of the most money just in the smaller towns.
There's a hunger for drag in Lethbridge.
I can imagine when I go to Jasper, because this is my 4th year doing Jasper Pride, or 3rd or something like that. I've never had, it is like honestly the best weekend of my life. Whenever I get to be invited to go there, because like, even if I've done a ton of driving and we're doing bingo in like the town tiny bar, people are there, they're ready to tip, and they are just so excited that we are there. Like, we had a moment, we were doing Jasper Pride as a house, and they had us in the Jasper Lodge golf course, really fancy, rich people stuff. And we're like standing there for a moment. I'm watching, Stoll just got done performing. I'm watching a bunch of little tiny white queers bow to her on the ground. It was like on their knees.
And what do I do?
And she's just like there.
Do it again.
And she did tell them that, and they did. And
I've never met this diva, but I know.
You're gonna love her. But I like literally had the moment watching that happen. There are 5 queer / trans Black individuals at this golf course. I was like performing, getting paid to be here, being adorned. I went on to Google. I was like, why do I feel like when this place was first built, Black people weren't allowed to be in here? And correct. I was correct.
You get that spidey sense on the back of the throat.
I smell it. This place smells like old money. And
there's a scent of it in the air.
Be here before. There's so many places we have performed.
No, but
that
diva,
are
I've
like
had that too, where I'm like, they don't kiki with me.
At least the ghosts here, but now we're shifting the vibe.
We're shifting
Yeah.
the vibe. There was like literally something so powerful as we were driving out of Jasper, and I was just like, 5 Black queer trans individuals just
That's history.
performed in a space
That's
that
fucking
we
history.
would honestly, my ancestors' wildest dreams every single time I step on stage, and it was just like immaculate. I hope we get to do more of that in the future.
I think that is such an amazing vision for the future. And I think it's also so cool that you're describing the different like houses that exist in Canada, seeing you and witnessing you and supporting you, even though we're in different places. It even reminds me, like, for my entry as a drag artist, there's a house in Saskatoon called the House of Grant, and they are an all Filipino house. And because of social media, they found me and they were like, anytime we have a show in the future, like, we will house you. We will bring you to this stage. And I'm like, it's just so cool that that's a similarity between our experiences in these minority identities.
Drag comes and goes, but culture is forever.
It's
and
blood.
That was when I was in Victoria. One of the things that Virgo Nation Sparkles Plenty said, your house, like the House of Ebonii, is very set up similar to ours, and that's why we've been together for 10 years, is because we've managed to keep out the noise when it gets really, really loud and support like us. And I think that is really, really beautiful that you get to just be Filipino and make connections with other queer performers.
Yeah. And it's, you know, being biracial, like, not to make the conversation too much about me, you know, but for so long I felt really lost in navigating those two identities. And also so much of it is how the world decides they're going to see you that day. Each person, it's like, you are a mirror of their knowledge or biases or stereotypes. That's what they see, not who you are.
Yes.
So, yeah, like drag and Kuya Kiko, Francesca Dynamites, the House of Grant, like, being witnessed and accepted specifically by queer Filipinos makes me cry.
Like,
Like,
it's so beautiful.
always, you know? So,
Same for me.
yeah.
It is like, I'm also mixed, and I was raised by
wait, I felt
only-
a kindred. I was like, wait a minute.
And I was raised, like completely without my culture, which was so
Yeah.
brutal. But my mom, was like a white woman who had her own things going on, but like never
What a
learned how to
statement.
raise me. Yeah. She wasn't really like prepared to have me as a
Just get
child, but just
into it.
never learned that. So I feel like big part of drag and performing for me was like first burlesque, like figuring out what is beautiful and being mixed and being Black, but also being here, like physically here. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
For like my ancestors were moved in the transatlantic slave trade, and then they were in the Caribbean, and now I'm here, and like I'm half of this, and like what does that mean for how I got my hair and how I do me and my beauty?
Can I tell you something really quickly? Not to interrupt you, but just because it's not the same experience, but similar, right? And it was actually my best friend that told me this. And so I had described myself to her as the first time I met her as I'm half Filipino, half Canadian. She looked at me really confused, and she was like, you're not half of anything. You are whole as you are. So you're never not enough. I just wanted to tell you that because I've lived that too.
I'm gonna cry.
I know. Where are the tissues? Oh man.
But it is, I mean, especially, it's such a, listen, I mean, my grandmother was born in the 30s. Let's like put that in context.
Yeah.
Right? Like
She did not like your dad very much, did she?
She didn't meet him.
They rarely do.
For that one. But she, like, my family, we live in a place where it's not that forward, you know, like as much as we think, oh, it's 2025, I was like, we live in the 60s. Like, we live emotionally in these places where the ideas from that time are still wearing off because like Indigenous people weren't allowed to vote here until the 60s. That's in living memory of my grandmother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like we still live
And
in
people
this
who went to residential schools are
atmosphere.
still alive,
Yes,
right? And they're not
100%.
all old. Some are in their 50s or
My
60s.
friend's mom,
Yes.
she's young. She be out with
Yes.
us. She be out at shows with us. She was a 60 Scoop survivor.
Exactly.
So
It's
very
close.
crazy to me when people want to pretend like that history was such a long time ago. But I genuinely think it's just to make themselves feel better. That's,
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And then like the layer of, so I feel like the intentionality of racism here is still so intense, like still so segregated in a lot of ways, where
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people who are mixed or people of color, like all of us are just like lumped and we become closer because we have so much common cause.
Yeah.
Because it's fighting against like all of these other things that tell us every single day, like, you're different, you look different, why do you look like this, where are you from, where it's like, it's just so constant that we have an easier time getting along with each other.
Well,
And
we've
we have
been
made our
through
own
it.
community.
Yeah.
We have to make our own community for that. And like to the point of something you said at the beginning, I feel like the more we like make common cause with Indigenous folks whose land it actually is here, and we recognize like there is no Black sovereignty unless we have Indigenous sovereignty on there. There's no like
No
Filipino.
freedom.
And homies, also all of us who've been colonized so many times over the world, there's like really no freedom until we are able to get back to those teachings that were taken from us. Almost all of them land-based, all of them like feminine, but all of them, I mean, especially the myths and the stories, like there's just a richness to who we are that we've all lost from being here. And I think, especially growing up with only white people around me, I had to like
Diva,
take so much time to
Bonnieville,
learn that.
Alberta.
Yeah. It's Alberta. It's Alberta. It's the people around that think that because you see maybe a little bit more that things are changing, but there's so much we need to learn about each other in our communities. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually such a beautiful thing. But when people don't take the time and look around, it's like, oh, I have only white friends. Weird. And then like continue on living life. That's insane. Go learn about anybody else. Like
This
anybody
is so
else.
healing.
It'll be good for you. Also, more white people need to learn about their history, just in general. Like, not history as in, like, death, colonization, but
There's
like
a lot of it.
there is a lot of that. But learn about like your grandmother's myths. Like learn about how she would have beaded, how she would have knitted. Like learn about your Slavic grandmas, like weaving techniques. Like these are the things that were also sanitized from them when they had to like do the settling.
Which is why white people feel the need to steal everybody else's culture.
Clock it.
Baby, you do have your own. You just have to dig a little bit
Go back and
deeper.
find it.
Yeah, there is no reason for me to see any more white people with box braids. Sorry. I don't personally give a shit. Like, I'm not gonna like rectify you online, but I am gonna make fun of you in the group chat. Yeah. I will be doing that. So
you don't know what that tattoo says.
Are we good if I wrap with a few of those audience questions?
Yes.
Because people were excited. I got a couple good ones and they're sweet. So the first one is for both of you. And it says, individually, what have been your most rewarding and most challenging experiences thus far?
yeah. Okay, this is not to sound like hippie, anti-isms here.
Shimmy the shoulder, shimmy the shoulder.
I would
Do it
say,
again.
to this point, I've been performing for 22 years, so I am old hat. I've been around for a very, very long time.
Since the dawn of Shrek.
Exactly, correct.
Yeah.
So a wee bit before. One of the most challenging but proudest things for me as a performer, just as an individual, being the auntie at the House of Ebonii. It sounds so like cliche and like silly, but there is a level of imposter syndrome that comes when you've just been doing this the longest in the house and trying to like navigate different relationships and friendships, but also the good and the happy parts. And like when we finish a show, like whether it's one worth throwing or one that like we got invited to perform in a house, there is just a feeling of like me driving home that I'm like, wow, we are the greatest things to press this province in such a long time. And I'm just like so proud of it. But then it's hard because of that imposter syndrome and the pressure. I say it quite often. There is a like when there is 5 Black people having fun, the world around you is like, I don't know about that. I don't really like that. So there is just a lot of eyes. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people, I feel, rooting on us to fail, rooting on us to do really, really well. So I would say like, like being the auntie of the house, as well as having a lot of very challenging, I don't do well with group projects. That's why I'm so amazed that this is going so well for us. I've had such negative experiences in like groups or collectives. Usually it ends with homophobia or racism, right? So being able to like envision that, like, I don't know, basically PTSD I have from my old performance groups and re-envision it in a safe space with the 5 of us has been very challenging, but very, very beautiful. And it's literally helped me reimagine myself and my performer life here in Edmonton, just as a whole, having like 4 other people who just like get it.
Yes.
And because Lucian works night shift, I know like she gonna be awake at 1 o'clock in the morning. But
so wholesome, yes. Oh, that's a highs and lows. Damn, that's good. I feel like I don't want to fully. I feel like, I mean, I've been performing for 8 years now, and being in the house is something I am so proud of. Also, it isn't until, and I've had this advice from other performers, it's easier to get booked also as a collective versus an individual.
Yeah.
So I think there was, like it's advantageous for us to be a group, but I was in school for most of the time I was performing too, and obviously doing all the things I listed also, so it's too many things. Too much. I was doing too much, and it wasn't until I like being in the house and slowing things down. It's slowing things down, but then like being in the house, and I've also taken breaks in the midst of this like year. So I took a break last year for like 6 months. Because Edmonton had gotten so much in 2024, first Black House and ball. Wow, what? But taking breaks, I do think, I'm so proud to be in the house. I feel like the more I think about it, the more just like there's so much potential. Like we're the first and only all Black house. That's wild.
And it's also really beautiful. Lucian, like we started the house. Lucian took a break and then was welcomed back into the house. Like no problems, because we're a community.
It's
not
bigger
a club.
than that.
Exactly.
It's bigger than that.
I was still in the chat, which I was happy to be.
Oh yeah. When she had like called me,
Leaving
I was
you on
like,
red.
you were gonna hate it. I'm envisioning her finally turning her Instagram back on, and that chat was probably 3,000 like messages.
What
do you even sift through at that point?
Some days I'll just come back and there's like 90.
I'll come back.
I can't.
Two of us,
gotta catch up.
It's me. It's like it's
You gotta
me
see
and
stuff
Gabby.
from it. You need a moment.
The two of us can't be off work at the same time. Is the thing.
We're planning things. I guess that is. I feel like that's just something I am so proud of. I don't know if there's a time something. What was the second part of the question? Something I'm not.
Let's see. It was most rewarding and most challenging experience thus far.
Yeah, challenging was probably putting on the ball. It was like good.
A labor of love, of everything.
Of forming things, of getting the words, of getting the grants, of prepping before. The imposter syndrome of like, it was kind of, because I knew some people in the ballroom scene, but I still did not know enough to be like, I wasn't in the scene. So throwing a ball, and when you're not in the scene, contentious thing, right? Because they want to make sure that you're honoring ballroom. It has its own legacy. Like we don't. Like what's beautiful about ballroom is you can pass that queer legacy, that queer name, like the LaBeija name still lives, and it's a queer woman's name, and that's still there. It lives on. It has more energy, and you can have that family legacy with a name, and queer people don't normally get that. So I love that about ballroom.
It's almost like oral tradition for Indigenous communities, and like not to make a false equivalency, but that's what it makes me think of. Like queer histories, and specifically racialized Black and trans histories, have not been documented and preserved to near the degree of white cis histories. But here are our communities creating spaces where they live on. That's incredible.
And again, that first ever ball is going to be referenced for the rest of time.
It's on the
pressure. Yeah. So I was just like, I was so happy to make it happen, but I was just entering like, oh my God, should I do this? Oh my God, am I the right person to do this? Oh my God. Like, but I did get really like, shout out to Maldita Siriano and Father Twisted in Toronto, Posh in Vancouver, Katria in Vancouver. Like a lot of people were making. I also know that I got to give myself props for having the forethought to like make sure. That
we did spend about 20 minutes saying that.
But like that's why it's so essential. You need to. We're referencing, and if you're not taking into account like who should be included in the space, like I made sure I invited folks from Rainbow Refugee. To make sure there's like more folks involved. The folks from Edmonton Two Spirit Society. Like you want to make sure they're there, so you have to do that pre-planning, which means you got to give yourself that time to plan. So that was the biggest labor of love. That was really.
But the last thing I'll say on that before moving on to the next question is your note there about like, am I the right person? I think that's a pretty green flag for you, because some people wouldn't ask themselves at all. Yeah. But, okay, out of the minimal Black representation on TV, was there a character you watched growing up that inspired your style or stage presence as a performer?
My answer to this has never wavered. The 22 years I've been on stages.
22 arduous years.
22 years. It is Missy Elliott down every single time.
I see it.
Missy, the new Missy that she came out popping out with all of her new songs and music. That is when I think about being so young. I used to perform. Who didn't perform for my family? I would do like little dance things for them. Very embarrassing. But
been there. Yeah.
But they're forced, and all my brothers had to sit down and watch and clap and cheer when all
Is
of a
this
sudden.
a queer thing or like second generation immigrant thing?
Exactly.
I think it's both.
It's definitely a shared experience.
Yeah.
But I will never never forget being the smallest girl. My mom bought me the Missy Elliott CD, one of her first ones that came out. Seeing her on TV in the early 2000s, the time of the early 2000s, everything was lawless on TV. If you were not a thin white woman looking for love,
Brutal.
you did not get to see yourself. So being able to see Missy Elliott, just her music videos, her productions, her rapping, just everything shaped me into the woman that I am, and I reference it still to this day. I love her.
I love
That's a great
that.
answer.
What about for you, Bestie?
I think, for like a personal sense, I feel like Raven Simone probably.
Hey.
That's right. The faces, like all the
Yes.
a lot of that, and I guess she did have her own clothing line. That was a thing also in the early 2000s.
I forgot all
it's
about
like,
that.
Yeah, there was the Hillary Duff.
Yeah,
there
if
was
you
the-
had a show
Yeah,
on
you're
Family
right.
Channel, you
yeah,
had a
if you were
clothing
Disney,
line.
yeah, you had your own style. So but I feel like it's kind of like a culmination of a lot of like the 90s, early 2000s, like trifling men is kind of what Lucian has going on, like more of a lover boy genre than fully trifling. But yeah, no, I
Not to
can't.
interrupt you, Lucian, to me, and like Lou and R.I.P. Luna. You, now that you just mentioned Raven Simone and like the show, you're like a conglomeration of all of her characters. Because you know, all she did was dress up and do like, all she was a man.
The
more
final
times than that show.
evolution.
Pulling that from Eddie Murphy too. She did like a similar shtick as Eddie Murphy. It's like always dressing up for different. You were always every character, and I do love that.
No, that's so funny.
The comedy is good. You're not wrong. I am. I did pull so much from her because I didn't have a lot of. There wasn't a lot of options.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
There you go.
I also I liked Chris Brown, but R.I.P. Chris
Rip.
Brown.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sadness. Bye.
And we glossed over that.
Yeah, I
Da-da-da.
blocked him from the work music chat, like music, the Spotify account, because like I can't even hear this. Come on,
Nope.
I don't want none of this.
Nope,
I
nope,
don't
I
nope.
don't even know who that is.
I don't even know who he was.
Never heard of him.
God.
Never
But you had
heard
good
of him.
looks, and you were cute once. So anyways,
Once.
Yeah, God now. So
Leave
yeah.
it to a man to ruin everything. Yeah.
Self.
Period. And that's the interview. It's done. No, I'm kidding. There's one last question, and it's a bit bigger, so feel free to take a moment to think about it here. But it says, besides being able to afford booking out-of-town folks, how can white hosts make their space inclusive and welcoming to Black, Indigenous, POC audience members and encourage future artists? The person that submitted this is also a racialized performer, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That does help.
Yeah.
That is.
I know. That's why I was like, let me just
slide that in
yeah.
there.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna go first?
I could try. Yeah.
What a transition from Chris Brown to
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Listen. Yeah. Oh, okay. Can you say it again?
Of course. Besides being able to afford booking out-of-town folks, how can white hosts make their space inclusive and welcoming to Black, Indigenous, and POC audience members and encourage future artists? So it's twofold.
Yeah, twofold. I feel like, I guess at times where I've been hosting shows, I produced the show early in my performing in 2019. It was when Watuwasan, the solidarity rallies were happening a lot,
Yes.
and like the blockades were. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're still actively happening.
Double check. We'll double check.
No,
that.
check that. Oh my
Mhm.
god! But yeah, oil, gas, people trying to push in Indigenous people's lands. A classic story, I guess.
Mhm.
But I was trying to think like actively, like what can I do? Like what's within my like I'm in school, I don't have money. Like
Mhm.
what is within the power I can do to support the people in my life and in my world? So I put on a show. I produced a show. It was all Indigenous femme, two-spirit cast. I didn't pay myself obviously because that would be unethical to pay myself from this. But I produced it for free, and I made sure I could make space for Indigenous folks. And in the producing of that, I started going to ceremony after that, which was lovely. But I didn't know about protocol, and I had performers like message and reach out and be like, "Hey, maybe you should like offer a protocol for that." And I took that note, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay." And then I offered protocol to other performers, and then made sure I had it in a space where there wasn't alcohol. So I think like it's a portion of realizing what you don't know, reaching out to people before, and then asking those people to be there. So I was worried about enough Indigenous people being there, so I reached out to Edmonton Two-Spirit Society.
Yeah.
Right? Like those organizations exist, you should utilize them. Even for the ball, I reached out to Rainbow Refugee and Edmonton Two-Spirit Society to make sure they were there too. So it's really thinking of like who is supposed to be a part of the conversation, who's not a part of the conversation, and who could be more so, and like figuring out where that is. But yeah, there's no good formula to make sure that spaces can be more welcoming, because some things are just like not appropriate for some spaces.
Yeah, not a one size fits all. Like every
Do not ever
circumstance.
invite me personally, this individual Black girl. Do not ever invite me to participate in a Taylor Swift anything. Thank you very much. That's me. That is how you can be more welcoming to me. Don't invite me to perform, and do not invite me to attend. Thank you.
This is your boundary, and it's so valid.
That is actually, I mean, yeah, considering what kind of music is being played, considering when I was the only Black one in most of like the burlesque shows I was in for a long time, I was aware of the songs I was
very
picking.
aware.
I was very aware that I was the only one who's going to pick an R&B song out of everybody who was there.
That's me shimmying with Bruno Mars.
Yeah. So you're very aware. Like, I don't want to be
Bruno Mars, drag kings.
That's true.
They like this though.
Yeah. That is our Filipino habibi.
I have been asked this question so many times in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
That I have become so, not dissociated, I won't say that much, but I will say my general rules of thumb, I mentioned it earlier. One, when you start casting, producing, whether you are the producer and the host, whatever it is that you're doing, and your regular friend groups outside of drag, burlesque, and performing are all white, you've already got a problem. You've already got a huge problem, because your blinders are on that of course you're not going to think about diversifying your cast. You haven't even diversified your own personal life. So of course we're not going to be even, and it's not even about Black and brown artists being top of your list when you're creating your cast. It's that a lot of people don't think about us at all, like whatsoever throughout that. So that is a really good starting point. And I've gotten to the space now that I think it would be very beneficial if people want to be seen as somebody that is a safe producer, somebody that I'm not going to ask a lot of questions to. I trust you. Honestly, it gets to the point where some people, even racialized producers, you need to pay somebody to help you. You need to find a mentor to help you who has history and experience in that. And triple digit no other points if you can make them, if that individual can also be Indigenous, because like you mentioned, a lot of the teachings that they're already doing, like they transition into performance and safety and being paid properly. Very big shout out to Cherry Cheeks out in Victoria, BC. She is a seasoned burlesque performer, and she also runs 2 festivals out there. One of them is completely for all BIPOC racialized individuals. And she actually was donated, so she has a 6-week program about producing, and she has helped me so much. She's always there when I have questions, but she had received a ticket that was donated to the 6-week class. And I learned more as a Black queer woman in Alberta. I learned more in that class, and things that as a pretty okay producer, I think I am, I learned more from her in those 6 weeks that I ever could on my own. I ever could, honestly, learning from a white dude.
I believe you,
like,
without question.
It came, and you know what was really funny is it was like, so it was a small class, and the first thing that she asked us, the very first question she asked us, what does decolonization mean to you? Damn. I was like,
here we go.
Here we go. Like, this is week 1 second into this lesson, and we are talking about this to make things uncomfortable. There's a lot of white people in class, but they were there to learn and like be better. And I get to that point sometimes where I find a lot of collectives, individuals, companies who want to work more, like they have really good intentions. Intent doesn't always match impact sometimes. And it is really important that you do find and locate DEI instructors who you can pay money to. You can ask them any of the questions. You take their 6-week courses, any of those things, because that is not you burdening who knows what's going on in mine or your lives at any point in time. You know, like that's not burdening me with a question out of the blue or anything like that. Or if I do have a really close and strong relationship to you, that's perfectly fine. But I find we are so past 2020 that at this point in time, if you've come and you're seeing organizations who haven't hit those notes, they're not doing it, you got to go back to the drawing board. And I'm not talking about hiring some consultant company for thousands of dollars. No. Cherry Cheeks does a 1 hour. You can talk to her about whatever. You can book her for whatever. $75 an hour. I think she also has a pay what you can scale for racialized performers and people and producers. And if there's a will, there's a way for you to learn, but that doesn't mean trauma dumping or putting your questions. The questions about race are never ending, folks. You cannot
Yes.
put that on us.
And we don't have the energy to do it all the
capacity
time.
and
Sometimes we don't want to do it at all.
Exactly. Not a
Mhm.
DEI educator.
Yeah.
I'm just Black. That is my.
I just have to
Yes.
talk about these things. I don't want to.
Well, you don't have to talk about
We
anything.
don't have to.
I
But we
choose
like,
to.
have to. Like, we have to think about it. We have to.
As the
we have to be in
elder.
it, yeah. We have to be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that is kind of the best where I've gotten to this point is because if I spend my time, even if I give you 3 hours of my time educating you,
Mhm.
a lot of white producers will take that knowledge and be like, wow, I listened to her, that's enough. And then they
And then
won't.
we've done. We've
and then they're
met the
done.
threshold, which is not true.
And
It's
then the next
constant.
show is again all white bodied or all thin bodied. And I said it in my last time I was presenting about the Ebony effect. It's thin, all white, cis gendered casts are very out in 2025. Like we have to do better, we must do better. And unfortunately, if you don't want to do better, a lot of people are going to notice.
Mhm.
So,
And it's okay that, like, honestly, if you want to produce shows like that, then just don't have the lip service of, like,
Yep.
diversity, inclusion. Just do your own thing.
Be honest about it.
exactly.
Be honest about it. And then, like, if you know you get enough hate for it, just stop producing. You don't have to. You don't have to.
It's
Like, if you
simple,
don't know
just
enough
stop.
people to ask, if you don't know enough brown people to ask
is so
2
real.
brown people to be in a show,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're prepared to produce. That's just, yeah.
And I think that's the mic drop. of
Yeah.
this
As well.
episode.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Lovingly. You can
Lovingly.
do other things.
I'm here to encourage you. Miss Frizzle in the house. Let's give a shout out again. It was Cherry Cheeks in
Yes.
Victoria. So if you heard that and you thought this sounds amazing and exactly what I've been looking for to improve my business, my practice, my shows, book with these individuals.
Yes. Take a class.
Take a class.
Take a class. But besties, we did it. That was the end of your audience questions and your adventure on Queer in Alberta. I've had the best time with you on the show, and I'm honestly like, we should just either start a podcast together or have you come back, because I feel like we just touched the tip of the iceberg of all of the things we could talk about.
This has been so fun. Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
It's
anytime.
definitely worth the wait. I think we just needed 3 seasons to marinate. That's what it was.
Yeah, let it cook. I mean, we wouldn't have, like, half of these things to tell you.
Well, my loves, I have one last question for you. If you could please look into your camera and say, we are the House of Ebony, or if you prefer, from the House of Ebony, and you're watching Queer in Alberta.
We are from.
Yeah.
We are from the House of Ebony, and you're watching Queer in Alberta.
Hey, you did it!
That was very Family Channel.
It was.
Welcome to
Do the little. Yeah.
Yippee.
Close and done. Thank you so much. You made it.
It's a wrap. We
That's
did
a
it.
wrap.
We did it.
Coming up next on Queer in Alberta. This is not just a long-standing organization in Calgary, but it's the oldest in North America.
We are the longest running queer multi-sport festival in North America. We could be the longest running one in the world, but we're just not able to verify that.
Wouldn't that be something?